Welcome back in today's first video, big day at GazWeatherVids.com. Today, because I'm having a look at all of the things that's going to be going into my winter forecast, and next week we'll start doing a winter forecast, or winter updates, anyway. But before that, I just want to talk about Enso, and I'm going to do a specific video for Enso, see where things may be going as we go into the end of the year, into the winter. The Enso region, El Nino, La Nina, is one of the important factors when you come to make a winter forecast for the United Kingdom, because it does have a bearing on the overall state of the weather setup in the Northern Hemisphere, and there is some evidence that when you get strong El Ninos and La Ninas in particular, it can have an effect on weather in Britain and Europe, though that's a little bit more controversial. Now, I've not done a video for Enso, for El Nino, La Nina, since February, and in February the idea is that it's going to be a neutral period coming up, a neutral Enso period going through to the summer anyway. That's been pretty good, and the reason I haven't been updating it is because there's not been much going on actually in the Enso region. It's been a very quiet period. Are we starting to see signs of things beginning to develop in the Enso region now? Well, we're going to have a look at some of the forecasts and predictions, as well as the current setup in the Enso region, to see what's going on and what may be ahead. Now, before I get on with that, just talk about the advertising. There's green keyword ads on all my pages at GazWeatherVids.com. If you right cursor over green keywords, they'll display ads, but if you click free word, go to the advertised website, you'll be supporting GazWeatherVids.com by doing that. Just want to very quickly, for those of you that don't know about El Nino and La Nina, don't know what it is, it's a warming of the Pacific Ocean. El Nino, at least, is a warming of the Pacific Ocean from Peru to Indonesia. So it's this area here that we're interested in along the equatorial, or through the equatorial Pacific, going from Peru in South America through to Indonesia in Eastern Asia. And when you get a warming of that region along the date line, then you've got an El Nino going on, when you've got warm water coming to the surface. When you've got cold water coming to the surface, that is the reversal, and you can see it here in this very striking image from 2010, December 2010. When you've got cold water through this region, then you've got La Nina, and that's quite a strong La Nina that was going on there. So that's La Nina, this is El Nino. Haven't got time to go into the effects on all of this. If you want to know more about it, just do a Google search of El Nino, La Nina. Put those two terms into Google. You get lots of interesting pages come up telling you how these how this weather phenomenon impacts the globe. It's mainly something that impacts South America, the Southern Hemisphere, South America in particular, and Australia. Also east parts of Asia, and of course North America as well. It's more controversial whether it impacts the UK and Europe, although in my opinion we can sometimes get some impacts, but I can't go into the full detail on that for this video, unfortunately. So this was the situation in February when I did my last El Nino update in the Pacific region, and what we was looking at then was basically a neutral signal. We'd had La Nina, or a very weak La Nina, dying a death really, and this sort of area here was showing kind of a decaying La Nina signal, to be honest, and all the models were predicting that we was going to be going on in towards a neutral period. So we have to see how things have developed up to the most recent image from NOAA to see what's going on in Pacific right now. This was from when I'm doing the video actually on the 5th of September, and very little change actually. Go back to that chart in February, that situation in February in the Pacific region. Go back to now, not a lot's happened really. We've stayed around neutral, as I say, through the period. We're actually interested in this period, in this area here specifically, not so much towards the coast of Peru, where it's shallower waters, although very often the Enso starts there. Very often the El Nino La Nina will begin around this coast of Peru, but to actually get an El Nino or a La Nina designated, it's really this area just here that's important. And what you have to get is anomalies going either 0.5 or more above average, or 0.5 or more below average If you go 0.5 or more below average, you'll be into La Nina territory. If you go 0.5 or more above average, you'll be into El Nino. Also, however, you have to get that going on for a specific set period, and I think it's 5 tri-monthly periods that you have to get these anomalies of 0.5 above or below normal. So it's 0.5 above or below over 5 tri-monthly periods. So very much the case that to get an El Nino or a La Nina, you have to meet very specific requirements, and very often we do get very weak El Ninos and La Ninas that are never designated as such, either because they don't quite reach the threshold, they fall just short of the threshold, or they don't overlap those 5 tri-monthly periods enough. But in any case, over the last few months we've been neutral. Let's see where we're likely to go, and the first model we're looking at is our own UK Met Office, and this is the sea surface temperature prediction from the UK Met Office for September, October, November. This is from August 2013, so it's the latest prediction that we've got. It'll be updated again in September, but this is the situation for the forecast situation for September to November, so for the autumn. And we see models pretty much keeping it as we are now. Actually, we've got the coolest waters off towards the coast of Peru, but not much going on in the Enso region. We're more or less again around that sort of neutral, just perhaps borderline La Nina territory, but it wouldn't be enough to be designated as a La Nina bat, so we're more or less around neutral. Now, as we go on to the next 3 monthly period, which takes us from October to December this time, this is more interesting because we're seeing that the colours are deepening here in the area that's important. Remember, I said that the area we're looking at is not so much towards the coast of Peru, but more around this area here, and we do see a deepening there of the colours in towards the darker blue colours in that region. So that's going towards La Nina now. That is predicting, I think, that we're going to move towards La Nina towards the end of the year. From October to November we may start to see La Nina developing. And then what about the final 3 monthly period, which is November, January? Again, very interesting because it's seeing that the colours are deepening and spreading out with those deeper colours as well. So now that's the area that's coming into the blue colours, and we've also got some deep blue colours there. That is a La Nina developing, and there's no doubt in my mind that the UK Met Office model is forecasting a La Nina, probably weak, maybe up to moderate, but a La Nina is being forecasted about at the end of the year from the UK Met Office model. Now, what about the ECMWF? That is going for actually an increase in the temperature in the Enso region. This is the anomaly for the Enso region from the ECMWF. This is where we currently are with this chart. We're just here. Again, this was updated in August. We're just here. Most members of this ensemble are going upwards, so we're trending up towards neutral. Very few get to El Nino threshold. Remember, to get to El Nino threshold, we've got to be around here over 5 tri-monthly periods. There aren't many members going quite that high. Most of the members are taking things up towards neutral and going towards the El Nino side of neutral, admittedly, but keeping it more or less neutral through the winter. There's December just there. So yeah, the idea is that the sea surface temperature anomalies will be coming up through the remainder of the year, increasing but not getting to El Nino territory, probably remaining within neutral. But some of the members do go up into El Nino territory. So definitely the trend there is to increase the temperatures through the Pacific, which is in contrast to the UK Met Office, where the trend was to actually cool things off through the Pacific through the remainder of the year. Now, the next model I want to look at is the Jamstec IOD model, and again, this is more or less where we are. Again, this was updated in August, so we're more or less just here, and we're neutral at the moment, as we know. And the idea really from Jamstec is that we're going to keep it neutral through the remainder of the year. This is January just here, and yeah, basically the ensemble mean, which is this red line, is trending neutral for the rest of the year. Notice, interestingly, we start to lift things up into next year. We may get a better chance of an El Nino developing later on next year. There's many members of the ensemble. In fact, the ensemble mean is trending upwards into 2014. So that could be just the first signs that as we get through to next year, we're going to start to go towards El Nino territory. And that may be what the ECMWF is picking up on as well. It may be a bit too progressive increasing things through this year. But the idea is probably that we're going to keep it neutral and then go a little bit towards El Nino next year. Finally, we're going to have a look at the CFS version 2 model. This is quite interesting. Again, it's the same sort of idea from the ECMWF. Sorry, I had a bit of a mental block there. I'm very busy at the moment. I'm doing a lot of videos and I just had a little bit of mental block. This is where we are anyway at the moment. We're just here. We're around neutral, as we know. It's seemed that we're going to increase things through the rest of the year. This is January just here. It is increasing things, the CFS model, not to El Nino. We're not going to get it going up to El Nino, but it's going up towards neutral on the El Nino side. So very, very weak El Nino. Won't be declared as an El Nino, but a very weak neutral positive Enso is what it's predicting through the remainder of the year, with a general trend upwards and then sort of flatlining as we go into 2014. But in my view, I think as we get through into 2014, we probably have a better chance, actually, of starting to move the temperature upwards through the Enso region and possibly getting an El Nino. So, well, there's a lot of ideas in play there. We're at neutral at the moment, at Enso neutral at the moment. The Met Office wants to take us into La Nina. Now, I'm not really convinced about that, to be honest. I don't think we're going to fall back into La Nina. My suspicion is that we're going to go with Jamstech, CFS and ECMWF, which is that we're going to stay neutral, but we're going to see a gradual increase through the Enso region through the remainder of the year. So whilst we're remaining neutral, we're probably going to move from the La Nina side of neutral, which is where we are now, more towards the El Nino side of neutral, certainly by the time we get through to December, January and February. But remaining neutral, very borderline weak El Nino, but generally neutral, and then possibly, just possibly, as we get through towards next summer, starting to look at the chance of getting an El Nino going in the second half of 2014. But that's a very long way ahead. So in terms of how that's going to impact the winter forecast, I'll be talking about that over the next few weeks. I'll be releasing the video in a few minutes on my homepage, just saying what's going to go into the winter forecast. This will be part of it, the Enso prediction. Neutral, borderline El Nino, but generally neutral through the winter. That will be part of the winter forecast. How that impacts things, I'll be talking about it over the next few weeks. But very interesting. Looks like we're staying around neutral, but moving more towards the El Nino side of neutral rather than the La Nina side of neutral, as we are at the moment. So discounting the Met Office idea, which is taking us to La Nina, don't think that's going to happen. Neutral to borderline El Nino positive is what I'm predicting just at the moment. Come back in a few minutes to my homepage. You'll be able to see everything that's going to go into winter forecast. That's it for now. Thanks for watching.